It's interesting. I've been thinking about this for years, and I'm not even sure how we got to this point. I mean, I remember growing up, how many opportunities I had to play so many different sports, and then when I started coaching, it was the same thing. As the seasons changed, so did the sports that I coached changed, and I truly believe that's made me who I am, and is a part of the reason that I've got so many great opportunities and the chance to do so many things. But I think I don't have any answers for sure. I don't, and I'm guessing that those of you sitting in the room are the already converted ones, and the ones that aren't converted aren't in the room. So, there's a lot of things there, but, I think one of the biggest things we have to do, as people, as leaders, is provide opportunities for kids. And by only providing the option of hockey, I don't think we do any justice. We don't grow society. We don't grow the people that are going to follow us. And I think that's a big issue. I remember working at Father David Bauer as we prepared for the 2002 Olympics, and I walked outside. We were down on the dressing room level, and we called it the bunker where our office was. And I remember walking outside and watching 6 or 7 kids. I don't know, they couldn't have been more than 8 or 9. And somebody, what I call teaching them how to play hopscotch, as they were going in and out of the ladder. And I was like, is somebody being paid to teach that? Like, can't those kids just go outside and play? So I think, one of our biggest things we have to do is provide opportunities. And for the most part, we're a rural province. And if we work together in the communities, we can certainly provide a number of opportunities. So I think that's important. I hear a lot from parents, they love it. They just love hockey all year round. Well, have they been given other opportunities? Like, I didn't even love hockey, and that's what I've done. I loved swimming, and I loved softball, and I loved volleyball, and I loved all those sports. I don't even know how hockey came in the picture, to be honest with you. But we have to give them opportunities so they can find their passion, and it may, in many cases, it won't be hockey. I think the elders, when I was the recreation director in Castor, one of the greatest things we had there on our rec board was that we had people who had been there, done it. We had people kind of in the middle of it, and we had new people coming in. And I think the wisdom that older group had and the more experienced group had was so vital to a lot of things that we did when I was there. Their ability to help balance out the emotions and the fact that players and people weren't going to go on to $1 million contracts, and how do we develop them as people. So using the wisdom you have in your community to help you, I think, is crucial. John talked in his great presentation there, talked about developing the athlete. Well, you got to develop the people. One of the things I feel proudest of as a coach over the years is that I feel like I develop people, not just athletes. That, I look at one of the first softball teams I ever coached, and, one of them's a chiropractor, one of them's a lawyer, one of them's a dentist, one of them's a veterinarian. And I like to think, maybe I had a small part for those young girls in developing them to go on to careers like that. So I think the importance of that. The people in this room, you have to be courageous. It's not going to be easy to change something that's ingrained in everybody, but it's changed over time, so it can change again and go back to something that we like. I love the word excellence. I've always talked about we should be striving for excellence, not perfection. And defining excellence in every day and helping kids understand what that is, I think is vital as you move towards this player-centered approach. One of the biggest things I believe that we as people and what I believe athletes and kids want is a consistency of actions. And through my years, I think most of my athletes, after I got through the first few years of inconsistency of actions, and became more consistent, most of the kids that I've worked with would say that I was consistent in what I did, and they knew what to expect from me. And I think that's the type of environment we have to try to create for them so that they can develop and grow. We have to look at what the adults need. And I think as adults, we form a social network around the kids. So as our kid moves through, or our child moves through with a team or with a group, it becomes our social network. And when they don't make that team or they don't want to play anymore, our identities and our lives as people are affected by that because we've moved through just like the kids have. And so how do we separate that so that it's not affected by what the child does? What do we see as adults as entertainment? And I'd go back to the number of games kids play versus practices. And why do we play so many games? We play so many games because the parents want to play those games, because that's their entertainment and that's entertaining. It's not entertaining to watch practices. Not at all. And we all know that. And why would you want to watch the practices? Even though the kids get the most out of those practices. And then I think that, what adults bring to that environment, the yelling and screaming, the day-to-day stresses you bring from work through to that environment. And I always chuckle with young coaches and even more experienced coaches, when they're telling me, I worked all day on this practice, I was ready to go, and it was awful. Like they weren't there, they weren't into it. Well, they haven't even thought about it until they stepped on the ice. You've been thinking about it all day. And so I think, the day-to-day stresses that we bring and recognizing what the kids need and what they bring is important. Coaching and working with kids, as most of you would know as parents, is hard work. I swear that's why I'm not a parent. We have 153 girls right now starting off this new quad, and man, they're a lot of work every day. 153 of them across North America. I can't even imagine what parents go through, but it's hard. It's hard to care. It's hard to help every one of them, and it's hard to make them all better. And how do we create that environment so they can improve? The fair and fun for everyone, the trophies, drives me nuts. I have nieces and nephews that have won more provincial championships than I ever got a taste of in playing and coaching. And I just find it's unbelievable. Like, we have to learn how to win and lose and how to succeed and fail, and understand that when failing, it's not the end of the world. It's learning, and we get better and move on. And I think that fair and fun for everyone environment is killing us in a lot of ways. The final point that I would make is that while I completely agree with that you have to be able to say, I love watching my child play, we have to figure out a way for adults to enjoy themselves while the kids are enjoying themselves. And I think there's a huge gap between what players enjoy and what the adults enjoy, and we need to close that gap so we're on the same page there, and that will certainly help the environment and help grow our kids.